never seen a smile so big on my little Lord lady's face until I tell her I'm going fishing all weekend. Pack up all of my bacon, I make plans for 7:45, and I swing around, pick up my date for the weekend. Some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir. Howdy ho, what's up, Manny? Good to see you. Steve Shaw's in the house. Yeah, baby. Jeremy Glenn Cloud. Sorry about your truck, by the way, Steve. I saw that post. That kind of sucks. Holy smokes. Richard Dunlop's with us. How you doing, my friend? Corey's in the house. Jake Herman, Mark Wolf, I'll be contacting you. I need to get your address if you haven't already sent it to me for reasons as you already know. Steven, how you doing? Donna Parker, good to see you, Donna. How you doing? Eve, how you been, buddy? How was your weekend? You end up catching a whole whack of fish, my friend? Hope so. Looked like you were busy. Keep Canada fishing. Amen. Can't stress that enough. Lloyd's in the house. Always a pleasure to see you, Lloyd. Yes, and good evening, CFNers. We've got just a few announcements, nothing major. We've got special guests as always. That's the beautiful thing about CFN Live. First and foremost, how you doing? How was your weekend? You guys have a good weekend? You get out fishing, get out, enjoy the outdoors. Friday to Saturday. I'm not sure where all of you live, but if you are in the, let's say, anywhere in Southern Ontario and Quebec, Friday into Saturday, what a change in difference, a change in temperature. Oh, it's a good thing we're not made out of glass, I tell you. We'd be shattered by now. Went from what, 32, 33 roughly to 12 the next morning. Yeah, interesting. Needless to say, I think this is something that we are all going to we're going to have to get accustomed to. What's up, Attila? Nice to see you, Muskie Opener. Yeah, baby. Fish last tight lines all week. Good. No fishing moved all weekend. Are you all moved in now, Manny? Hope that's all settled. Did it ever rain? Yeah, Friday afternoon in some places. Did it ever? Absolutely. Busy on the CFN fish off front. I have to say the amount of entries, it's actually overwhelming. And what's even more overwhelming is the fact that the judges are right on top of it. Mike's going to be joining me tomorrow for Tourney Tuesday, so stay tuned to that, where we're going to be giving out yet another random combo. Please join us. Make sure if you've entered, you're with us. It's great being able to announce winners when they're watching. So we'd love to see you Tourney Tuesday tomorrow, 7:30, right here, same place, same channel, same bat time, as they say. Funny enough, we're talking about bats, but we'll get to that story. Jim will talk a little bit more about it. Of course, there was a lot that went on this weekend, and it was the annual ICHA event. We are lucky enough to have Jason Barnucz, who has a special guest with us. It's going to tell us a lot more about what happened this past weekend down along the Detroit River. And I believe this is Assumption Park, as it always is. Good turnout. Papagano put on a great show with his entire team of volunteers that showed up and always give a great day of fishing to all of the kiddies. Needless to say, there was no shortage of fish. As always, the Detroit River always does a great job and cooperates. But of course, our good folks at Handlebars Muskie Lures are going to be joining us. Or at least one of the family members will be joining us tonight to tell us all about what happened at ICHA. Really looking forward to that. Best muskie opener every year at ICHA. Donna, yeah, I'd have to agree. Any muskie caught down on the Detroit River? That would have been interesting. I don't know that the muskie's ever been caught during the ICHA event, but I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. Corey, how you doing, buddy? in Alaska, they have snow. Yes, they do. Yes, absolutely. There's all kinds of places that have various different weather than we do. Let's just say that. Of course, not only was it the ICHA event, Jim's going to be up next to talk about the Red Canoe Fest is what it's called. Of course, Jim puts on an event that is geared towards getting kids fishing, and they, as you will see, they gather all along the docks. Some of them are in life jackets. Some of them have Spider-Man rods. Some of them are full-fledged anglers and have tackle boxes. It's really cute. It's a lot of fun, and when you can put smiles on kids' faces like that, that's what it's all about, baby. That is what it's all about. Young and old, didn't matter who it was. Everybody was smiling in Sealy's Bay this past Saturday. Looked like the weather wasn't going to cooperate. The winds were they were blowing. Let's just say that. But the kids, they were very well behaved, patient, energetic. Big shout out to Pal Castings, as you can see, all of the rods that were donated as prizes, and of course the volunteers, which I'm sure Jim will talk more in great depth when we get to him. But that was the Red Canoe Fest, and it was this past Saturday. Great event. Got a ton of kids fishing. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, that's what our legacy needs to be. Jim's going to tell us how long he's been putting this event on. It is a cornerstone in that area, and I want to say it's been on ever since he moved there. So needless to say, yet another great event that gets kids and adults fishing for some prizes. Great time had by all. Of course, it would not be CFN Retreat or CFN Live without talking about our retreats. And thanks for Lisa Tadgel for joining us last week on here with Yvonne. Up from Horwood Lake Lodge herself. This is, of course, our first retreat, which will start on the 14th of August. Go to the 19th, which is an entire week. And if you want a little bit of a teaser to find out what you could see, what you could be missing if you don't go, or in case you are booked and you're really excited and this is your first time, have a look. It's well worth the trip up. Right, in August 14th to 19th, please reach out to Warren and Doris and get your butt booked in a bed. Love to see you up there. Horwood Lake never disappoints. Never. It has never, knock on wood, never disappointed. And Dave Helmer, who's up on Horwood right now, is saying that the numbers are very, very good. Water temperatures are surprisingly in the 70s in some places on Horwood. Wow. It's amazing to think that water temperature, I mean, it was frozen over a month ago. Unreal. But yeah, looking forward to that as we always do. It's a 5th annual CFN retreat up at Horwood Lake Lodge. Love to see you up there. Those who are going know. Those who have never been need to talk to those who have. We need to get the numbers up. We're halfway there. We'd love to fill the place. That's our goal. So August 14th to the 19th, please. www.horwoodlakelodge.com. Reach out to Warren and Doors and get your butt booked in a bed. Last but not least, in terms of announcements, OFC Nation is going to have its 2nd annual retreat at the one and only Camp McIntosh, baby. It's right where the French River flows into Georgian Bay. Why I'm telling you that is because it's some of the best fishing you will experience, in my opinion, in the Georgian Bay area. There's lots of species to be had. if you're a smallmouth lover, my word, you will be sick of catching smallmouth by the end of the weekend. It is the 27th to the 29th of September. Love to see you folks up there. Please reach out to Tracy and Andre. Get your butt booked in a bed. And if you don't know, no, you don't.
Where are you going, Don?
Tim McIntosh.
Yeah, baby.
Jim's up next from right after this word from our sponsor. The one, the only, big Jim McLaughlin. How you doing, buddy?
Good, pal. Good. Hey, right off the top, you and Steve Shaw for being here, guys. That's that like my kids' deal. That's absolutely awesome that you guys, go on a 4 hours for you, I guess 2.5, 3 for Steve, and makes no difference. What you guys did was just absolutely incredible, and I want you guys to know, and everybody out there to know that the enthusiasm that these guys bring and how much they want to genuinely help. They're not just there, to tell fish stories. It's it's really, really cool the way they participate and how hands-on they are with it. And like I said in the thing that I did on Facebook about it makes it so much easier for me getting older. I think I almost had a nap at one point there, but it's not quite that bad yet. If it wouldn't have been for Batman there, the young lad, I'd have been done, eh? But no, it's a wonderful thing. The wind was a little bit of a challenge, but it didn't seem to deter anybody. It took them a bit. We did notice that it took them a lot longer to come out.
Yes,
because they, I think in the morning, just the shock, eh? The absolute shock of it all. It was really, really something out there. But no, my heart goes out, and all those guys. I mean, Neil came down from Pembroke. I mean, Pepe comes up from Trenton. I mean, all these guys from all over the place. It's just, I had guys call me today and say, I hope, can I help out this weekend? Those are my 2 granddaughters. That was really cool. See Pepe standing here in the background behind me. There's always got his hands in his pockets. Eh? He's spooks me.
No, it is, Jim, and it's truly an honor that you've been doing this. And I was going to ask you first and foremost, how many years you've been doing this now?
I've been doing it since I moved here. When I moved here, I think you might have heard me say this before. They showed up at the door here one day, and they handed me a box, and they said, "Hi, if you're living here now, we know our fishing tournament. Here's the box."
Wow.
And here we are. It's I guess that would make it. Well, we missed a couple of years with COVID, but it's 7 years, that we've been here. So we've done it every year. And you guys, all these guys here in the picture here, just, like there's some guys that have won lots of tournaments there. Gord on the right-hand side with the purple and the khaki camo pants on there. That guy's won more tournaments on the Bay of Quinte. Spencer, who's right to my left there, he's won more of the Renegade events than you can shake a stick at. Just some dynamite anglers, not just guys that want to be there for kids. They just participate. Fishing is their life. Like they go to work and they come home, and you just mentioned the word fishing. I already had guys call me like they wanted to come this weekend, and I said no, it was last weekend, and they were, they were just dying. They just missed it in communications and everything. But
it is awesome, like to see some of the folks that are regulars on Facebook, or maybe they're not regulars. Like you see Gord poking on Facebook a lot and Instagram, and like you said, Jim, it's so genuine. I think that's why we always get along. There's a lot of chirping that goes on. There's
it's good
that goes up, but it's all in fun. And at the end of the day, all these guys, they make the day that much more special. And you don't need to hear that from me or Jim. Just ask the parents and the kids.
Yeah, and like, Scotty, there was guys that came that aren't in the picture here that could only stay for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Gard, who has Goldwing Auto Care in Ottawa, and second from the left there is his partner John there beside Pepe. And these guys drove from Ottawa. Peter could only be here for an hour, so he drives down for an hour from Ottawa. That's 90 minutes each way.
That's unreal.
Like things like that, and that's just that's why it's just like my heart just goes out to these guys. Like I said to you and Steve, you've come for the last couple of years, and it makes a huge difference to me. It's just I just, because you guys participate in so much of this, I sort of feel like I'm in good hands, And then it was nice to see, I was lucky Tammy came down for an hour or so because the granddaughters were there and spent some time with them. But it was really, really cool. And then something really cool happened to me today.
Now I was gonna, just before we get to that, and I know exactly what you're going to talk about, but I have to.
You don't.
Oh, I don't. Okay. In terms of sponsors, I have to say a big shout out goes this year to Pal Cassie's, and can't say enough about what Brad is doing for our CFN community and some of the other communities that we are affiliated with and doing some great things. But a big shout out. All these kids received rods that were donated by Pal Casting. So a big shout out to Brad and the Pal Casting family. You helped spread a lot of joy this weekend. So
I hope Brad's watching, buddy, because it's legit.
Yeah.
100%. These how happy these kids were. We live in a beautiful little village here, town, whatever they want to call it, and it's just you've spent 6 or 8 days of your life here now, and it's you see what it is. But something really cool happened to me. So
all right, spill the beans.
My Zodiac crankbait rod. It's my dream, the one you see Keith with in the pictures there and everything else. It's the most focus specific, but for me, but yet still multi-purpose rod out there. So I decided that it was time, since I really noticed the difference in it. It's getting old like me, and it's not quite as powerful as it used to be. So look what came for me today.
Oh,
I had to settle for one of the new ones with the monocoque handle, and it's a little different, but it ain't gonna be any different than I got. Well, you saw the pile of stuff that was here when you were here the other day when we were packing the kids' bags and everything, and there's all the back orders are coming from the stuff, and it was cool. But and then we got new reels coming at ICAST. We got a new. Oh, I can't tell you about that one.
No, you can't.
But we got a. Oh, I can't tell you about that one. Oh, this is. Are you excited?
Well, that's it. Good show yet again, Jim. We're gonna go on to Lawrence right after the word from God.
You cut me off. I know where you live.
No,
I have to go to the buffet first, though.
You have been talking about this, and I will say to all of the Shimano folks, the best kept secret is by this guy right here when it comes to what's going to be unveiled at ICAST. There was one secret that he's let out that is not a secret anymore, which of course is the fluorocarbon that Shimano's producing now. Mastiff is the real deal. I can't wait to see that.
I'm blown away.
It is really something else. But there's going to be a whole lot of other things that are going to be unveiled at ICAST that Jim has the privilege of knowing, and we're soon to find out.
Well, it's funny because Bob's headed down to Bass Pro Shops tomorrow in the States. They're going to be at the hotel beside it and they're doing extra mortgage payment. I like that. But they're headed down to film a big video around some new reels and the legacy of Shimano and everything. And they needed some old hats. So I get a thing from him the other day, and all it is a red square, and it says in white letters, it's got SOS, please call me. Oof. And he needed the hats. So they tried to get a courier to get them on Friday and guarantee that they would have them at Shimano today, because Bob is gone first thing tomorrow morning down to the U.S. with these hats in his suitcase for all this video. I mean, they've got the top outdoor videographers there to do this,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's they've got a week allotted for it, so you can imagine it's a big deal.
Yep.
And anyway, so I says to him, don't worry about it, I'll get them to you in time. And he said, well, how are you going to do that? I said, well, it's easy. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I drive to Shimano. I drop them off to you at 8:30, and I come back home. So I was back home here in the office at 10 to 11.
Wow.
And Bob got his hats. But that's
and the hats to represent an era of that reel. Is that the idea, Jim?
Yeah. It's going to be really, really cool. Like I'm excited about it. It's there's just so much out there. But we'll talk about these next week. Okay.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. Now, we were in the garage, and I've had the privilege of seeing some of Jim's stash over the years. And I mean, again, not to talk in excess of this great event that went on up at Sealy's Bay and all the volunteers that showed up. We can't say enough about it. But it was interesting that when you see his stuff, the giving never stops. Was the one thing I noticed right away was that pegboard looked empty compared to.
Well, you know me. You saw when you guys come.
I know.
I just give stuff to people. It's what it is.
It's unreal.
But we're going to talk about that next week, not this week, because
Yes.
there's something I wanted to talk about more that was so cool.
So with it being a muskie opener, in honor of all you toothy critter chasers and muskie lovers, there was something that Jim shared with me, which he just held up, that I think is really cool. I've never done that myself.
Yeah. So you got to come next week.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I got to share. I got to tell this story instead.
Right on.
See this guy.
Love it.
See this guy here. He's got a pile of issues, things that got nothing to do with, not his fault, nothing. He's just a beautiful little child, but he's got a lot of things going on. And he's, you saw him, Scotty, the way he ran around there. He was so excited. He wanted that police car. He wanted to win that so bad. So he comes to me and he had a Batman. He was Batman, all right. Boy, oh boy. He comes to me and he says to me, I got 22 tickets. I got to win. Nobody's got that many. Now, I know that another kid has already come and showed me 24. So Batman ain't going to get the police car. It's not in the cards. Well, not in the tickets. So I'm urging him to go back, and he tells me, my arms are so sore from catching fish. But he's running around like a maniac. And then he's sitting there rubbing his arms, telling me they're sore from catching pumpkin seeds that two to the hand, little pumpkin seeds like this. And it's just priceless to watch the antics of them with these fish. But it's so cool. So anyways, they all come up. They got their tickets. They're asking them how many they got. Scotty's lining the kids up in front of me, and he's lined up second.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, the kid's gonna have a meltdown. He's not gonna be right for a week. The poor little bugger. I was sick sitting in the chair.
And Jim, I felt horrible because I am now the focus of his anger, because you could tell when I put him in second.
I had to pull him off you.
He knew that. Wait a minute, I'm not in the front of the line. I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna go well. But he was a super sport, and as Jim will tell you, it all worked out in the end.
So the first kid comes up with the 24, and I tell him, well, you won the police car. And when you push the buttons, it said, like, this guy came out and said, this is the police, pull over it. Sirens flash and all kinds of stuff and everything. And Like, I wanted to keep it for me. If I would have realized all those things work like that, I would have got them something else out of the garage. But anyways, we bring it down. I give it to the kid, and he looks at me, and he's looking at the other stuff he's been looking at too. And I says to him, if you don't want that, honey, you can pick, like, you can take something else, you know. He hands the police car back to me, grabs this other thing, and runs away like Homer Simpson. He's happy. It's a big deal. So who's standing there like this? Batman shows up.
Well, all of us. It wasn't just him, it was all of us, because he made it known throughout all the volunteers.
Yep.
That car was his. And, you know, over hell or high water, he was going home with that car. So I'll tell you, there was this huge sense of relief. You could just feel it. As soon as that kid put the police car down, I don't know who was cheering more. The kid.
Well, I snatched it up pretty quick, so he couldn't change it. No. And then I baited him a couple of times with the trucker. You don't really want this, do you? You know, and I hold it out, and he's like, take it back and whatever, and he's laughing. He's a good sport about it, and he got that, and it was just life was right for everybody there. And I had 4 or 5 of the guys that volunteered sent me notes on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon later about that kid. Kevin Wren took a movie of him. So we have a movie of him, like, and everything. Like, you hear the crowd cheer, like they're all excited that this kid got that. So then we come to the little girls. So my granddaughter's third in the line. She wanted this keyboard. She had seen the keyboard in Papa's garage before, so she knew that this thing was there. So the first little girl, I hand it to her. She looks at me like, "What do I want this for?" Gives it back to me, snatches a doll, this pink doll off the table, and she's gone. Yep. I handed, I said, "Well, did you win this, honey?" The second little girl, that was, I think that was Jeff Dick's little girl with the pink shirt. Did she have a pink shirt on? Yeah, it's right. Jeff from Limestone Lures. He's a veteran, makes some dynamite plastic. In fact, I gathered up a bunch of, I had some of the stuff here. He was nice enough, Scotty. He brought down a bunch of the bags of all these little baits that he makes.
I was looking at those. Yeah. Man, those look sweet.
Yeah, cool little things. A lot of guys making this stuff out there. But what I thought was really cool that he came down and he gave to me was, he knew I wanted to have a look at some of the bigger swim baits that he makes. This stuff, they're really nice looking swim baits, and it's got some awesome colors.
Nice. Really, really awesome colors.
So his daughter's second in line. And I give it to her. And she wants something different. So now Brittany's looking at me, my granddaughter. So here you go. And now my daughter hates me. Okay, she's been on that thing ever since. I told her the batteries will burn out soon. But the cool thing was, like I told my daughter, I said, "Hey, this is just payback."
Yep.
It's just a little bit more payback for all the stuff that you guys put me through. And my older daughter, Jennifer, is always riding me. Like, she'll send me notes, things from Facebook, and said, you know, it just says, "OMG, do you remember, Dad?" And it's something that now I'm a mom, it all clicks, eh? So yep. It's cool. But no, the whole thing was just, it was offside. Yeah. It was offside. It just blew up. It was great. Everybody had a good time. And then other little things, like I told you about the other little girl's mom driving by when I was in front of the garage. I put the garage door up to get some more light on the far side of the garage today. And I hear something fall. So I go around. There's a lady driving by. And she says to me, "Oh, Big Jim." And she stops. I thought you lived right here. I see your truck here and whatever else. So one of the guys in town here makes chocolates. He's a chocolatier supreme. Like, I mean, you go in the store, it smells like chocolate. He's got, like, they come from far and wide to shop. You see old ladies coming out with shopping bags full of little bonbons, all these little things that he makes, and they're also rich and everything. But anyways, he has a little fish mold, and every year in the kids' little bag, we give them with granola and a juice box and a chocolate fish. So the lady comes to me and she says, "Would you by chance have another one of these? Because the tail's broken off it." And my daughter's upset that the fish's tail is broken. So anyways, I run in, grab a couple of the bags, still in one of the boxes from the leftovers, give her a couple of fish there. I checked that they weren't broken, and and like the way she went, I said, tell her to eat. She said she won't eat it because the tail was broken.
Wow.
Like, and this is with these kids. They're all different. Hey, they got little things that are them.
Yeah.
Like my two daughters were there, and Ariella, she she was just happy with any price. She didn't care.
Yeah.
She told Lindsay the whole time, when do we get prizes? She didn't care about the fish, but she comes here and fishes with Tammy a lot out the back when we sit out the back, and they all sit in the chairs. So she's caught her 50 sunfish this year.
Yeah.
She's good to go for the year. She's at her yearly limit. But no, it was really cool.
You know what I was amazed at too, Jim, just seeing the results of how it all unfolded is all of the fish were thrown back.
Yep. And there wasn't one kid had a meltdown. I mentioned that in the text or in the post I did about it. I didn't see one kid, screaming, rubbing the face along the pole or something, like not one. The first time I've ever seen that. And I'm checking the clock and we got time, so we're going to talk about this.
Okay.
So I got this box here that it's been in the garage. I jig fished small rivers for muskies to death. I mean, it was what I did. I would have bet me on anybody for muskie fishing on a small river. I know how to fish small rivers. Is what I did. So this was that's what I was saying to Scotty. This was my favorite one ever. And you can see it's living rubber, but watch, it's so old.
Yeah.
See the rubber just break? It just comes off. It's so old. It's rotten. See the way it'll stick together? It's just like mush. It's so old. But what Scotty noticed, and I showed them too, it was cool because I hadn't replaced this one in a while. So the guys liked seeing things like this on lures, where you can see where the teeth were in it.
Yep.
And you can see where the teeth were across the tail. So that wasn't a big muskie. It was probably a 10, 12, 14 pounder. But fishing these jigs, I did so much of it. Scotty picked up on the body of the bait. I'll grab a bright colored one here so you can see it. He picked up on the body. Like I used to use these Lunker City finesse fish, the big ones. Or not finesse fish. These are, I don't even remember what they're called, Lunker shads or something.
Yeah.
But these were from the folks from Sluggo. Does it say what it is on the back?
I think it is.
It doesn't have it. But you can see it's a very flat profile. So it's in the water like this. Shows up pretty well. Giant paddle tail at the back. So there's a lot of noise and vibration and whatever off that. These things are so old that the plastic's breaking down, But when we fished these, so they didn't sink, we fished with them. There's the jig head. And we fished with them flat. It's something that I started doing like this because we didn't jig them. I don't jig things. You've heard me on about that. Jerking and tugging on things, you'll catch more fish moving them around than you will really jerking them in a lot of cases. And so we fished with these flat like this so you could swim it. And a lot of the rivers were really shallow in the areas that we fished for the muskie. So it didn't go down as fast and it wouldn't get snagged and stuff like that. But this is just something that really, really worked. You can see it. We always had the different colors rigged. They were rigged flat though. So when they came through the water, they wouldn't sink as fast with the heavier heads. And it's something. It's not just for big baits like that. We've got. I got any little ones here? I don't think I have any little ones left in here. I probably had given them all away to guys.
They certainly George, look like Lunker City finesse. I don't know if they.
Yeah, no, they're not finesse fish. No,
yeah,
finesse fish have a forked tail.
Yeah, but needless to say, you being a walleye guy, like your paddle tail has to run true. It's got to be perfect on the hook. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at these, and I thought, maybe one was just by mistake. Then I see another one like that, and another one. I'm like, Jim, come clean, dude. I don't understand why do you set it up like this? And as soon as he told me it's to slow the fall down.
And the other thing that we got onto fishing too was, 5-inch tubes that guys used to use for fishing for largemouths, and we used those. And these were actually specially made for me, and the heads are almost solid. There's just enough room to jam a jig head through there, just enough room. to put the hook through.
I
So it's really
don't.
solid.
It's not. Is that a pimp daddy? Tell us, say, is that a pimp daddy that you just showed?
The tube?
Yeah.
No, it was one of Mike Nabulsi's bass
There you
magnets.
go. There you go.
But no, it's something that I've done, and it's. I mean, I didn't start it. It was not my deal, but I've got these boxes of stuff, kicking around like this all over the place, from stuff that we did. And for me to have a box like that dedicated to that, and there's also a cardboard box in the garage that has those. They're called salt shakers. That's what they're called.
Salt shakers. There you go.
Salt shakers. Yeah.
Boom.
Just
Shot. I love it.
Just kidding to mind. I just had to get it loose in there a little bit. But it's no, I mean, I've got a box out there that probably has 20 of those big jigs in it still in the packages, and probably 6, 8, 10 bags of the salt shakers still in the bags. And I would just fill them up, and I always had, but that was like a box that I had when I went. I jig fished, and that's what I've told people. I've got so many guys now turned on to jig fishing in the Kawarthas. I know Jay Caraman that's on here. He's a jig freak. He picked up some of my bigger jigs from me. Gord Pizer's grandson Liam caught his biggest tiger muskie on a jig I made this year. Jigs work. It's all there is
Amen.
to it.
And Corey, it's funny. Now that I thought about this, when I saw that, just fishing with Scott Stewart out in BC and lingcod, and of course, being that wallet, it's got to be on there true. It has to run smooth properly through. No, I now, after seeing that, wish we had that to trying to target lingcod and some of the bottom dwelling fish, because that would have been perfect. That nice slow fall. But no, very, very cool. And as always, Jim never ceases to amaze when it comes to sharing all of his little tips, tricks, and techniques.
Well, it's having done it for 50 years. There's so much in there that things that come and go. Like when you hadn't seen that the double fluke rig.
Yeah, the donkey rig. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't, like I said, don't ever catch 2 fish on it. You'll never rig it again.
Very, very cool. Well, Jim, what have you got upcoming this week?
This week, tomorrow I got to work on just fishing. Wednesday, they're cutting the cancer off my back. So that should be fun. And then I don't know.
Rest.
Oh, Saturday, I'm going to meet my buddies I meet for breakfast from high school.
Yes.
And we're having like a 52-year reunion, I guess it is, or something like that. And all the guys from the year they won the provincial championship in volleyball are going to be there. One of the guys is coming back from California. Nice. All kinds of stuff. So it's going to be a good morning. They're all going dolphin and that. I'm just going to the breakfast in the morning because I got a kids deal I got to go to on the way back. So I'll stop in at that Carlton Place, and then from there I got to spend a lot more time working on just fishing, so we get the summer issue out time because it sort of got a little bit neglected.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on. It's absolutely crazy, eh? But and of course, while I've been talking to you here, I've got 3 messages on my phone for guys looking for jigs, including Brian Brosdahl.
Yeah, baby.
Looking for fluff, yeah. David Walker called me Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. Says he's going to need some more. Now, I did say to him the last time we spoke, give me a call if you can get up here for a day or two, and we'll go fish for some largemouths before you go to the St. Lawrence. So this would be really cool.
That would be very cool.
Would be really cool. I had such a good time with him he's the guy. He was on when he won the Bassmaster Angler of the Year. He was on the Wheaties box the year after Denny Brower was on, eh? So it's kind of cool. Yeah, no doubt about that.
He's making some waves. I'm telling you, these
guys just keep going, eh? And then there's a couple of guys out there now that they're fishing the elites. Though you see Ricky Clun, he's 72 now. I don't know how he does it.
Incredible.
People think they're fishing. You have no idea the grind these guys go through.
Yep. Why
do you see them in the gym? Because they can't do it without it. Guys say, even the young ones.
Amen.
You don't realize what it's like to stand in a boat for 7 days and then drive for 2 to get to the next place and then stand in a boat for 7 days again.
Yeah.
So you're standing for 2 weeks, 10, 12, 13, 14 hours a day in a boat. There probably isn't a person watching here tonight that physically could do that.
Tough.
regardless of your age. You don't realize how hard it is. I mean, we used to go out with Masadi and Schmidt and those guys, Jumbo Elliott from the Argos when they were winning the Grey Cups. They were back there, a few years ago. They were El Shimano guys. And they'd be, take a little nappy poos on the back, because they weren't. It's something that they don't do. I had to be standing in front of the boat. Oh, my leg's sore. You're going to play football tomorrow at the highest level you can play in Canada. Oh, my leg's sore from standing on the electric motor. He has to ride, and then they throw me out of the boat. I got dunked a couple of times.
Oh boy. Well, Jimmy, listen, as always, dude, thanks for all you do for all those kids up at Sealy's Bay and the parents that brought them to the event.
Hats off to the parents for bringing them and for being there out there. And I can't say it enough. The guys that came and helped you and Steve Shaw, buddy.
Amen. On that note, we will leave that because you couldn't have said it any better than Jim just did. We bid you.
I'll be right there, honey.
Yeah, we bid you farewell. Hope you have a great week, Jim. And we look forward to seeing you again next Monday. All the best, my friend.
Take care. Be good, guys. Be safe.
Lawrence Gunther, after a word from this sponsor.
When it comes to Canadian food, we've got your back with flavors like lemon pepper, beer batter, campfire barbecue, lemon pepper dill, garlic butter and chives, and crispy Cajun. We've got a mix for every meal. Whether you're serving East Coast shrimp, West Coast salmon, succulent walleye, chicken wings, or veggies, we've got you covered. Coat your food in outdoor flavors. Available online or at these fine retailers.
There he is, Lawrence Gunther.
How are you?
Dude, I'm fantastic. Fantastic every Monday. This makes my week right here, man. Talking to you folks, and then of course Yvonne comes on here at least once a month. You know what? It's an honor to do this, and with some of the stories that we're able to share, some of the really cool stories like Jim and I just shared with his kids' event, and it makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. And it's so great that there's so many anglers, in different parts of Canada that get involved with putting on these youth events. And it's not just for the sponsors. It's not just for the media. It's not just for the social media, all that stuff. It really, having been doing this myself for 15 years, you do it. It's just a labor of love, just a way to give back. You think, I could take a kid fishing. But, I could get a whole group of them and put on a really fun day and prizes and all sorts of instruction and connecting them with mentors and, seasoned professional fishers. It's just a great activity. I mean, hats off to Big Jim for doing that. He's inspired me for sure. And he's inspired so many.
100%. It has actually been sort of a mission statement or a reset of our mission statement based on what Jim's done in the past. So there's a lot of folks out there doing some wonderful things, but let's be honest, Jim's probably been doing it longer than all of us in some cases put together. And he has set the bar very, very high for us to follow. But there's a few of us, and I'm lucky to have guys like Steve around me and Walt and all the other CFNers that show up and volunteer. They make these events work, and I'm just proud to see our colors associated with some of these great initiatives. But Jim, we're there. We're gonna try and fulfill you as a legend, your teachings, you as a mentor. You've molded this industry, and without having guys like you to sort of set the stage, we'd be doing this from scratch. So again, I can't say enough about guys like Jim and yourself and Lawrence and Jay and everybody else, the volunteers, because that's the key to all this is the volunteers. And we shared a video in regards to some work that was done with Association Lures and Lines up at the Bruce Peninsula and the hatchery that's up there. And it'll be a 3-part series. We shared part 1 on Friday. We'll share subsequent part 2 and 3 in the coming weeks. But it's just awesome to see the level of volunteer that goes on with some of these small groups, and they need people. So if there's anything that we can get the message out there, if you know a group that's out there doing some great things, join them. Ask them to help. Because guaranteed they do. They need your help. So sorry, Lawrence, I took up enough time. I don't
It's
even
good,
know.
buddy. It's good. It's good. Lures and line. I'm going to follow up on that one.
Yeah,
That sounds interesting.
it is.
I've camped up there a bunch of times, and I love the Bruce Peninsula, Manitoulin Island, all that. It's gorgeous territory up there.
100%.
Hey, we had an editorial came out in the Bluefish News for May 29th, so last Monday. Check it out on bluefishcanada.ca. And the editorial was called Youth Divided. But you know what? It used to be where we had rural mice and country mice, city mice and country mice, right? And we all were familiar with that term. And you couldn't be, any different. Black and white, night and day. There was a huge divide. And having grown up in a rural community myself, for me and my buddies to come home after school and grab our fishing rods and jump on our bike and head off to a stream or lake and, go fishing until, we had to be home for dinner, that was pretty normal. And we'd often speculate, because we weren't that far from Toronto, maybe 45 kilometers from Toronto. And we'd get into the city sometimes with our parents. And we'd think, wow, do kids in the city have they ever seen a deer in the wild or a rabbit or a groundhog or ever caught a fish? It just seemed incredible that they could have, because they live in this hugely developed community called Toronto. And we were probably right at that time, for sure there was a divide, but that divide is shrinking, and urban kids have led the growth in fishing in the last few years, starting with COVID, but I think it started before COVID. I think there's more kids interested in reconnecting with nature. And maybe they're afraid they're not going to have another chance. It's going to slip away on them with everything they're reading and hearing in the news, that nature is getting pounded and it's sliding away. And maybe they want to make that connection. Maybe too, they want to connect with nature because it's part of their culture, part of their heritage. They hear stories from their grandparents, their uncles, their parents, so forth. And they think, hey, I want to try that. And maybe they just want to get to know nature and understand it and become a voice for nature, which I think there's that going on too. Regardless what the reasons are, the numbers are up. A lot of it's coming from youth from city locations, and this is good news.
Well, it's interesting that you say it like you do, because I think a lot of us who go to these events and see these events, and at shows too, right? Or it's with the shows. It's an either or, right? I find that kids are either like us, they're neck deep in it, they love it, they can't get enough of it, they want to know everything there is to know about fishing, the environment, the outdoors. And then there's kids that could just take it or leave it. And you know what? That's kids. But you're right. In terms of us parents, it's on us to share traditions. It's on us to share our pastimes. I can't imagine how devastated I would be if my grandfather and my father never took me fishing and never exposed me to the outdoors.
Yeah,
there would be
a
huge void in my life if I was never introduced to this. And as much as I love the outdoors, as much as I love fishing, as much as I love talking about the outdoors and fishing, taking care of the outdoors and fishing, if I had never gotten that experience, like, can you imagine? Like, this would be a huge hole. There would be nothing here. So
yeah, no, for sure. And getting kids, reaching out to kids and getting them interested in fishing at a young age, it produces adults like you and me and Big Jim and Jay, people who love fishing, right? If you do it too late, it just becomes a sort of thing, a checklist kind of thing, bucket list thing to try, like scuba diving or parachuting or, zip lining. You do it once, or you think, oh, I've done that, let's move on. And that's not what connecting with nature is all about. You can't connect with nature a one and done kind of, it's just not possible. You can maybe catch a fish at an event, that's organized with lots of excellent people around you, and maybe that'll start the process. But I have to follow up. You have to follow up. There has to be some sort of follow up. And, it's one of the reasons why Bluefish Canada trains the trainers, right? We have that train the mentor program, because a lot of mentors, a lot of grandparents and people, they just think, wow, am I teaching the kids the right thing? Am I up to date? I don't want my grandkids thinking that, I'm some sort of Luddite or some sort of Neanderthal. So they want to know they're teaching the kids the latest science-based best practices.
Yeah.
And then the kids themselves, they're interested now more than ever in understanding fish and where fish habitat. it's not just a numbers game. You know, that might have been the case when we were young, you know, numbers, right? Who could catch the biggest fish, the most fish, you know, the quickest. That was always the sort of the measuring stick on how great of an angler you are. Now it's about catching different fish, catching fish in obscure, weird locations, you know, catching fish using your own baits, you know, different techniques. It's more about the challenge of catching that fish. And people will spend days and weeks to, you know, conquer that challenge. And you know, they'll catch one fish and they'll say, I did it. You know, I did it. Okay, on to the next fishing challenge. That's why I think like Grand Slams are becoming more and more popular. So, I mean, this is the way it's evolving, right? People want to really understand. They really want to discover and understand fish and the habitat, and then set themselves a mission to go out there and actually find one. Find a wild fish, not a pond full of stockfish, but a wild fish.
Yeah. And yes, you know, it's interesting. There's a lot of comments here that have popped up that are great. They're great. And they are certainly, they are conversation catalysts, if you will. It's easier to get them into fishing than hunting, and yet hunting should also be something for kids to learn as well.
For sure.
Agree more. A zombie apocalypse will be upon us. Well, I'm hoping, you know what, Jeremy, and all kidding aside, I hope that that is a long ways. Unfortunately, Attila doesn't have the same positivity. Have you seen the Toronto mayoral candidates? The apocalypse is already here.
Well, politics.
Yes. One thing that we cannot control, although we should be able to, is politics. We can vote. Yeah. But at the end of the day, is it the demon you know or the demon you don't know that you vote? Anyway, regardless, one thing I hate talking about is politics, because it never ends well. But regardless, get your kids into fishing. Get kids into fishing. Get them out fishing, and enjoy the environment. Enjoy the outdoors. The one thing I will say, I have never heard, nor have I experienced, so many kids being diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and other, you know, attention deficit disorder.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think that there is an epidemic of this. I believe it's something that's been gone undiagnosed for so many years, and in some cases, unless they are very harsh, you know, symptoms, they could be so slight. They could be ever so slight. In fact, there's a kid here in the neighborhood that is going to go to a special sporting school, and the reason is because they're not learning in the current curriculum that they're in. So the parents decided to take him to sports, which, you know, it's a great idea. At the end of the day, you know, you're allowing you're molding your child into something that they might enjoy and learn at the same time. Fishing and hunting is no different. They could have a blast. They may not like it. They may hate it. You're never going to know until you get them out there.
So Bluefish Canada is organized with the generous support of the Ontario Power Generation Group, a Get Ready for Fishing event in Cornwall on Saturday, June 10th. There'll be a session from 11 to 1 and another session from 1:30 to 3:30. We have 5 different stations set up where kids will get to take home different sort of information and kit for their stewardship kit and fishing gear. There'll be a casting zone. We'll have some Shimano spinning rods to give away. And we're really focusing on, you know, answering those questions that children have, like, you know, okay, these are kids that are going to already have maybe caught a fish and they know about fishing a little bit, but they want to know more about the fish. And so we're going to really focus in on the big fish of the St. Lawrence River, you know, muskie, pike, bass, walleye, and carp. So, you know, how to catch these big fish and where are they? And we'll have some real good experts there as well to hand out some information and try kids on the different rods, show at the lures and all that, you know, the right technique. So it's already 75% booked out, but and I'm told even it will book out, but we'll always let in some people at the door. So if you're in Cornwall, come and visit us at the OPG Center on the grounds right there at the Saunders Dam.
And this is this weekend?
Yes, June 10th.
Wow, that's fantastic. Great hearing all these fantastic initiatives. Hopefully somebody's going to take some pictures so that we can share the event with the folks on Monday.
Sounds good.
But I love hearing about that stuff. Carry on, sir.
Some news? Shall we dive into the news?
Let's do it.
Hey, okay, so here's some interesting news. I got a little bit on commercial fishing because I think it says something about the state of our fish stocks and where we are as a country. So commercial fishers in British Columbia caught 2 million salmon in 2022, or about 0.6% of the total 354 million salmon caught in 2022 around the world. So out of 354 million salmon caught in 2022 around the world commercially, our British Columbia commercial fishers caught 2 million. That doesn't seem like it's a 0.6%. This is, the west coast of British Columbia used to be a cornucopia of salmon, right? You think about all the canneries and all the fish runs and all the stories here and these massive fish. It's what the heck is going on? It just seems like, man, oh man, that's just a disaster.
Wow. Yeah, you could dissect that in 3 different ways just off the top of my head. It can be viewed as good that we're protecting the resource, or it could go the other way that there's not much of a resource to exploit.
Or who is exploiting the resource? And here's some other news: 90% of the North Pacific salmon that along the coast of North America, right? British Columbia, Oregon, Washington State. 90% of those salmon are being caught by Alaska commercial fishers.
Really?
Yeah. So they're intercepting them. These fish all move north into the ocean up there, and then they come back down. They follow the coastline back down, and they're intercepted by commercial fishers in Alaska. 90% of all our salmon on the west coast are caught by Alaska.
So now with the crab fishery shut down up in that area, Bering Sea, let's be honest. I mean, that whole area has just been flipped upside down now that the crab industry has gone kaput. Yeah. Are our salmon in danger?
I think there's pressure on salmon. The salmon rivers up in Alaska, a lot of them are doing good. Not everyone. The Yukon River is not doing good at all, but there's some that are doing very well. But there's just millions and millions and millions of salmon fry being pumped into the ocean up there by Russia, by Alaska, by all sorts of people interested in commercial fishing. They're just pumping baby salmon into the ocean, and with the idea of put them in and we'll go out and catch them again and commercially. So they're catching a lot of fish. They're all smaller fish. A lot of them are pink salmon. And it's not really good. If you think an ecosystem, you need forage to make fish grow, like especially Chinook salmon that grow from 0 to 60 in 5 years, right? I mean, it's crazy how fast and how big they get in 4 or 5 years of being in the ocean. So they need a lot of forage. You introduce millions and millions and millions of pink salmon, and which are popular in the in a can. And you're taking away for the forage from the Chinook. So that's a problem. So there's tons of problems that need to be sorted out up there for sure around fishing. And there's work to be done, my friend. There's no doubt about it. But here's some news about Quebec. So the 2022 estimate for Atlantic salmon caught in 40 rivers in Quebec, 29,300 Atlantic salmon were either caught and released. Compared to the year before in 2021, it was 28,000. So 29,000, just over 29,000 Atlantic salmon were intercepted in 40 rivers in Quebec. So, it hasn't come down. It hasn't gone up tremendously, but they are counting these, right? So we're having a better understanding of the health of the Atlantic salmon. Unfortunately, when you go a little bit further south into southern Nova Scotia, it's not doing so well. Quebec's doing better because they have, that northern coast of the north shore of the St. Lawrence River, and then up that way, and so that's colder water. So the salmon come back to those rivers. The rivers are colder. It's more what they're looking for. Whereas in southern Nova Scotia, southern New Brunswick, Miramichi, the rivers are warmer, shallower in the summer, and less hospitable to the salmon. And there you're seeing smaller numbers. The same as Newfoundland, Labrador, up in the northern part of the province. Healthy runs of Atlantic salmon in the southern part, less so.
Yeah. And Attila is saying that he wishes there were more Atlantic water bodies this way. And unfortunately, we just don't have the waters conducive for raising Atlantics. It's exciting news to know that their numbers are growing. It's almost hard to believe that we've been so worried for a fish that's been around for I don't know how many hundreds of years. Like holy smokes! And now it's on the brink. 29,000. That's not that's not a small number, but it's not a huge number. But at least it's trending in the right direction, and I'm happy.
And these are the ones that were captured and intercepted. So who knows how many the rest made it up without being caught, without being counted, right? Because, you need pretty sophisticated equipment to count the fish moving up the river. It doesn't just happen. Not all these fish have tags of them. Some sad news, speaking of fishing in Quebec, when you go down the St. Lawrence River, once you're past Quebec City, it's like the ocean, right? It's brackish. The water is noticeably salty. There's a tide. You can feel the effects of the tide at Quebec City already. Further down the coast, the north shore of the St. Lawrence River, a large group of 11 recreational fishers went out onto into the shallow sandbar on the St. Lawrence River to do some fishing and lost track of time. The tide came in, cut them off, and 4 children and 1 adult drowned.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah. It says 5 people died, 6 people made it out. But the 37-year-old father and his 2 children died, and 2 other children died as well. That's just a tragedy. But it just, whether it's tides or dams that are opening, we need to be aware of this. Things happen, right? And they can happen very quickly. So always be wary. I remember, I wanted to take a surf casting course in North Carolina. And the instructor said, Lawrence, he said, there's myself and my partner. We'll take about 10 people. They spread out about 100 feet apart. He said, I'd love to have you. They said, but we can't offer you one-on-one. And if a rogue wave comes, and they do come, and if you don't see it coming and you don't run for it, you're just going to get swept away. There's a good chance you can get swept away if you're not a strong swimmer or if you get caught in a riptide. So there's always some things you need to be aware of. But in this case, it was the tide.
Oh man, that's horrific news. Oh wow. Family will never be the same, and those who love them, it won't be the same. Wow.
Yeah, that's there's communities up and along the coast that are sort of rallying behind the families and giving care, and it's affected a number of communities and hard because it's just something they all do, right? It's something a lot of them do, and this is a tragedy. It could happen to any of them.
There's the link. Thanks, Tilla, for sharing the link of the story. If in fact folks want to read more and understand, so that they can avoid this happening to them, because at the end of the day, a tragedy like this, can we at least learn something from it? Because how else do we honor these lost souls? Oh, yeah, tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to your original, and I think Jeremy is onto something here. So we were talking about salmon and the amount that the Russians and Americans, the Alaskans, are dumping salmon fry, or at least doing their best to make sure their hatcheries are pumping out salmon fry, and their rivers are doing the exact same. But so there's a thought process. Is it like forestry though? Like basically what Jeremy's dancing around is it going to become a put and take fishery?
It is largely now, maybe not with the iconic species like Chinook. There are lots of Chinook hatcheries trying to restore salmon runs, but in this case, these are going after pink salmon and sockeye. These are some of the more iconic, species. They're easy to handle. They're a nice size to process, easy to catch. They're predictable. And they're fan favorite, when it comes to canned salmon, right? And everyone loves to, open up a can of salmon. It's all nice and pink in there. And so this is, these are the species that are being sought after. not ones that are being sought after necessarily by, a recreational angler. So,
Right. Yes, I caught a fish following our YouTube channel, which is the best way to catch salmon, or which is the best bait for salmon. I'll let you wade in on this, but I'm sure Jay will have a few answers as well when we get to his segment.
yeah, it's amazing. Flies. I mean, there's so many things you can catch salmon on, but I think they're using a lot of spoons right on the West Coast. So spoons seems to be very popular.
100%. All right, dude, we got time for two more.
Okay, so here's an interesting one. So in parts of there's orcas that are learning how to sink boats, and they think it's one whale in particular. And she taught the other orcas how to do this, and she might have had this isn't on the West Coast, but this is Canada, but they think she might have had a bad encounter with a boat at some point in her life, and has developed a bit of a hatred for boats. And she's taught other orcas who have taught other orcas who have taught other orcas to sink boats, how to capsize them, how to flip them over, how to, swamp them. And it's becoming quite a problem.
So there's a video that's been running around. I want to say it was folks to our north. I want to say it was the Inuit that were chasing what looked like an orange boy, and that boy was hooked up to an orca. I don't know how if it got entangled or what have you, but there is a video that's been circulating where this orca is literally chasing the boat.
Wow.
Massive dorsal fin that comes out of the water, and the last minute when the video goes blurry, the orca is basically jumping at the transom of the boat. Is this the particular whale we're talking about, or is
no? I don't think it's this one, but that's interesting too, right? I mean, that's just a pissed off orca by the sounds of it.
It was, well, I'll tell you, we never get to see how it ends, but I can't imagine, because all you see is a sea of ice. That's all you see, and this boy is being dragged around, and the last minute this orca comes out and goes after the boat, clearly goes after the boat, and now as the boat goes into gear and it's trying to get away, and you see this massive fin chasing. Oh, like you're in the middle of freaking nowhere, and you've got a killer whale, an orca chasing you. I can't imagine what goes through the head of a person that is in that kind of situation. But more so than that, knowing what you've just told us, these folks that go out on these paddle boards and they can't see land, they come across humpback whales, they come across orcas, they come across sharks. Now that you've heard this, stay in a boat. Stay in the boat.
And even then you might not even be safe.
And yes, even then you might not be safe. So what are they going to do about this?
I don't know. This is going to be, once they develop, once they add it to their arsenal, right? This is something that's, it's going to be difficult. It could be passed on for generations and generations.
Wow. Well, this will be an interesting story to see evolve. If they're able to tag this orca at some point, that hopefully they'll be able to send out a warning signal to everyone else. But
there's a link in the Bluefish News if you want to read more about that. And the last story, I guess, is I'll mention it's how do you make a fishing trip safe for your four-legged friend in the boat, right? Speaking of staying fresh, safe in the boat. So I wrote an article. It's in the Outdoor Canada magazine, and it just went live on their website. So it's 6 tips to keeping your four-legged friend safe and sound aboard your boat. I've been doing this for many years as a person who loves dogs and gets to bring my dog everywhere as a guide dog. So this is important to me. So I thought I'd pass on some of my tips to.
It is a good one, and you see dogs will react differently depending on the dog, depending on the situation. Do any of your dogs bark or chase after the fish, Lawrence?
Oh yeah, all of them. They all learn to do it. They all become quite excited in the capture. Man, I had one dog. He would jump up on the front deck, and next thing you know, he'd be stepping on the pedal, and the electric motor would take off, and it's chaos, absolute chaos. Another one that would reach over the side of the boat and try to grab the fish with his paw and end up falling out of the boat. And another one, when I muskie fishing, I always knew when I had to follow, because he would watch my bait being brought back to the boat every time. And when he would see a follow, he would literally slam the side of the boat, the gunnel of the boat with his chest, trying to like getting all excited. And I knew, and he'd cry a little bit. I said, okay, I got to follow. So they get into they dogs love to hunt with their humans, right? This is the original pairing of wild animals and humans in the hunt. And there's many other stories, and I'll be sharing those in another future episode if you want. Like I have a few other episodes like that of where animals and humans have worked together to hunt, and even orcas and humans working together to hunt successfully.
Very, very, very cool. Well, listen, if you didn't hear this in its entirety, you can go to bluefishradio.ca and hear it being broadcasted yet again by the one and only Lawrence Gunther and Bluefish Radio, Bluefish Canada. Can't say enough about what you do, Lawrence. All of the news that you bring to us, some really interesting stuff. As always, look forward to every Monday with you, and we bid you farewell. But before you go, what do you got planned for this week? Outside of the kids event, obviously, yeah.
I've been working on getting my honeydew list done, right? Yeah. And my wife had this big sort of getting the bird, bee, butterfly front lawn done. So we're almost there. That's been, I'm pumping up my muscles, digging and shoveling and planting. That's all right. And, but yeah, right now I'm really just focusing in on getting this day done with the kids on Saturday with the kids, and then hopefully Sunday get out for some fishing myself.
Right on, buddy. Well, listen, as always, thanks so much for your time. Love these news segments that you do. And of course, it's bluefishradio.ca. If you want to hear this in its entirety, please go over there and have a listen. There's lots.
Yeah, just ask your smart speaker. Just ask your smart speaker to play, hey, whatever it is, play the latest episode of the Bluefish Radio Show.
Right on, buddy.
Boom. There it is.
Beautiful. Lawrence, you take care. Have yourself a great week.
Thanks, man.
My friend.
Yeah, keep up the great work yourself there, Scotty.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks for having me, man.
Jay Barnucz and a special guest coming up right after this word from his sponsor.
The fear of failure is failure itself. The world of science rewards the ones who are willing to try and fail. Because without the courage to embrace failure, ideas remain ideas. But with that courage to fail and to learn, ideas can change the world.
Yeah, baby.
Hey!
Barnucz in the house. And is that part of the Parker family?
It is part of the Parker family. She showed up in my boat last week. I can't explain what happened, Scotty. So, and she just keeps following me around Ontario now. We were in Brantford last week, Cayuga. Now we're in Welland and Dunnville. Yeah. So actually, all jokes aside, Jade Parker is one of our summer students this year. So welcome, Jade Parker.
That is so awesome. And Jade, it's an honor to have you with us. Everyone from the Handlebars family has been so gracious to CFN and all of our community. I can't thank the Handlebars family enough for all you've done. But now you're taking it one step further and you're hanging out with this guy who is a fishing knowledge machine. You know what? I'm jealous now. I'm jealous that you're in his boat.
She's actually seen me at my worst, Scotty, because last week we couldn't get the boat working, new electrofishing boat, new electronics. It's wild, dude. And she has seen me at my best and my worst in only been 7 days. So
wow. Well, there you go. Tell us a little bit. Can you tell us at all what you guys have been doing?
Sure. Yeah, actually. So I had a new electrofishing boat built last year. It's actually a raft, and it's a catamaran style. So it's two pontoons mounted over an aluminum frame, and we're using it to sample the Grand River using boat electrofishing. We're actually looking for red horse. From the CFN fish off.
Yep.
There's we have 5 different species of red horse. 6 species of red horse in the Grand, and 2 of them are at risk: river red horse and black red horse. And so we're out doing surveys for all red horse species, and boat electrofishing and backpack is a good way to catch them. And so I had this new boat built last winter, and we hadn't had a chance to test it till last week. So Jade and 2 other students, Shane and Lauren, they've been out with us, and we were at Cayuga boat ramp for a couple of days last week, like literally putting it together, like literally from parts putting it together.
No way.
And had it out on the Grand River. And what did we get? We got golden red horse, silver red horse.
We got some gar.
Got some long nose gar. Yeah. We got some smallmouth. Got some big smallmouth last weekend there at Cayuga. And big freshwater drum.
Yes, massive. Yes. Massive.
Yeah. So that was last week. So this week we're in Dunnville. We're staying in Welland this week. We're going to be commuting to Dunnville every day. So we'll be in Dunnville tomorrow morning. So
unreal. Well, I've been hearing that when it comes to the drum almost they almost need their own tournament. From what I keep hearing from folks that are catching them, especially out in the Lake Erie area. They're huge. They're massive.
Yeah, some of the ones we got last week were like pushing probably 30 inches. Jade, I know that we know that Jade's dad's a bit of an outspoken guy, so she gets to listen to Angry Dad in the back of the electrofishing boat every day, where I'm like, fish on the left, fish on the left, fish on the right, and I'm just yelling at her to net more fish. She's good. She's good with the lacrosse, dude. Like honestly, Scotty, she does. And then you got to do the cartwheel and swing back. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So she's learning all my tricks. I'm teaching her all my tricks electrofishing last week. We had some fun.
Yeah.
And then actually, and kudos to Jade for having some great boat experience, because we had to pick up a different boat today. I don't want to talk about boat problems on a Monday. So got a nice big John boat for Jade to captain tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With my nice 50-horse Yamaha on it. Be nice, please, Jade.
You're gonna be doing donuts.
No donuts. No donuts. No. So we'll be down in Dunnville, hopefully getting some more red horse and different species. And Scotty, it's their first week, so teaching how to load, how to unload the boats, how to trailer, back a trailer up, drive a trailer on the highway, all that kind of stuff's going on right now. So yeah, it's good. It's been a good 2 weeks.
So Jade, I have to ask, obviously, Mike is huge into his muskie, loves his fishery, loves to do what's right for the environment. Is it just your dad that got you into this? What is your fascination? Are you as messed up as, guys like me and Jay? Like, what brought you into this?
Well, I wouldn't say it's messed up.
Well, some would.
I don't know. Our whole family, my mom grew up fishing with her dad all the time. My dad grew up fishing with his dad all the time. So they just kind of took on the role to teach us how to fish. And, it's just a lot of fun outdoors time. I've been in the boat in my little jumper, passed out in my jumper while they fish, So probably since I was born, I've been in a boat, slowly learning how to fish. And we went out to Cameron Lake with the Muskies Canada for quite a few years doing the muskie tournament out there. So that was probably one of my biggest memories of starting at least muskie fishing. But before that, oh my gosh, going fishing with my mom, my dad, my grandpa, my papa, everybody. I just kind of grew up into it, and now I get a really cool job this summer with Jason, and I get to learn more about fish that I haven't even seen before. I think this summer is the first time I've seen a red horse, so it was kind of cool to see the couple different species so far. More to come.
Oh, now listen, George, you don't start talking crap to us on here. If you want to see some, we have to start sending you gratuitous fish pictures, because I can do that. It's actually, I'm really proud of Jade, because our summer student program is very competitive. And I spoke to Jade, spring fishing show, wasn't it? We talked?
Yeah, I think so.
And I said, it's very competitive, but I hope you get through the process, because I have no control over it. It's very high level. Once you get through, I said, Jade, if you get through and you get into our crew, I hope we get to work together. And then I got the call that Jade's only going to be with me for a couple of weeks, and then she's going to be helping to lead another crew doing some wetland work this summer. So I'm just trying to show her the ropes, and I'd like to keep her around, but I don't think I get to keep her all summer. So we'll we'll have some fun for a couple weeks.
Oh,
eh?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
So
It's
Jade,
already been fun.
this is a perfect segue because, as I said, you have been very much a part of everything that CFN has done and the CFN Fish Off. You are now taking your love of fishing to the next chapter, which is, I tip my hat to you because I wish I could get more involved. I wish I could have done more like what Jay is doing. So again, I'm jealous. But, when you talk about that next gen of anglers. And I have to say, when I get these kind of messages, even though it's live, I have to share them. But, this is what the CFN Fish Off means to me.
Yeah.
Is you have 3 girls here. Brooklyn and Samantha are sisters. You can tell that by the pants. But young Ava is there with them, Rocky's daughter, and they're all fishing right now as we speak. They're on a creek bank somewhere, trying to hook. As you said, it could be a red horse, it could be anything, could be a catfish. But what the CFN Fish Off has done, and what Handlebars has allowed us to do, is to speak to that next generation of anglers. And the fact that they're female, Jade, they're going to be looking up to you. So you are a mentor, whether you like it or not. You are molding this next gen of female anglers. So a tip of the hat to you.
I think I might have told Jay that a couple times last week, that she, just someone in her position, she's gonna, she could, do some pretty cool things, right? So, there's a lot of need out there for fisheries officers and biologists, and the doors are opening. So especially, I don't want to say it too loudly, but I'm a middle-aged white guy, so but there's a need for more diversity in the workforce, and I encourage Jade to follow those, whatever she wants to do. But George, you're right. Fisheries is the best. Fisheries work is the best. It's not the best every day. I got into a fight today with a 6 horsepower Yamaha. The 6 horsepower Yamaha won, and I went and got a 50 horsepower Yamaha to show it up. That's what I went and did, because I was mad. But the field work, Scotty, is for us. It's a challenge every day, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have challenges every day. But I joke every day about Jade's so surprised, like, how much can possibly go wrong some days? And I'm like, it's not always like this, but it kind of is like this some days. And it builds a lot of character. And I think that for a lot of Jade, you're at the Fish and Wildlife program at Fleming College, right?
Yes.
Second year,
Yep.
going into third.
Yep.
So, so I think that what's cool about this is being able to share what I get to do with Jade. And I know that she's sharing our adventures, our misadventures with her colleagues at Fleming. And I know a couple of the teachers at Fleming too pretty well, like Paul and Brian. And it's a lot of fun. And I'm really proud of Jade to get, and it's not easy to get into the federal student work program.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of her successes so far, and all of our students. Like, it's not easy. God, the expectations are high. The stuff I ask you guys to do is a little bit, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, dude, Scotty, I'm like throwing them the keys and I'm like, back the trailer down the hill. Here you go. And they're like, I've never done this before. It's like, no problem. Well, I know you've done it before, but it's like, no problem. I'm here to teach you. Like, someone taught me how to back a trailer. Someone taught me how to start a motor. Someone taught me how to do those things. At some point, someone threw me the keys 30 years ago.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, yeah, and I know Jade's said a couple times that, what'd you say yesterday about Friday at lunch? You're like, I wish I could back a trailer up like Jay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I aspire to back up a trailer like Jay one day.
Because
You can do a blindfold.
I'm sure the students wonder why I help them back it up when it takes them 5 minutes when I can do it in about 30 seconds. But someone's got to learn. That's how it goes, right? So.
That's really cool. Well, Jade, listen, as cool as all this is, and it really is, it's again, a tip of the hat to both of you for the work you do. And Jade, you are just embarking on what is going to be, from what your mom says, a very long career in the fisheries industry. So that's awesome to hear. But I want to hear more about this past weekend at the annual ICHA event.
I haven't even heard about it. I've been saving it for tonight. I said we're going to talk about it tonight. So I'm going to pass it over to here. We're going to even turn the camera a little bit. Yes, right there. All right. It's all you, Jay. I want to tell everyone about this great weekend, because I know you look forward to it.
Yeah. The ICHA, this was the 21st annual ICHA. So we're getting close to that 25-year mark. It's pretty exciting. We've been helping with it 5 years, I think, give or take a few years. But it's all muskie opener. But you know what? I choose, and my family chooses to go help with this derby instead, because like Pat just, I don't know how he does it, honestly. The amount of people there are, the amount of volunteers we have, the amount of vendors that we have, like there's so much put into this event that's just amazing to see everybody there, the laughs, the smiles, the fish caught or the fish that aren't caught. Like there's a lot of learning that goes into it, and you know, it's a bunch of anglers that volunteer their time to go help teach people, like teach the anglers how to fish, and you know, we help put worms on or different baits. Sometimes they bring their own stuff, or sometimes we bring stuff to share as well. How to take fish off of the hooks, how to ID the fish. We saw a lot of gobies. I want to say there was a couple carp. I know there was last year. You know, some rock bass and everything. There was
Any
a bunch of
white bass, white perch, those kinds of species?
I think there were a
so?
couple.
Yeah.
I didn't see any, but I'm pretty sure I heard of a couple people that did catch those. And then there was a lot of long-nosed gar surfacing. Nobody caught any, but the excitement of everybody that when they saw
Well, that
one
must have
surface,
frustrated you.
it really did. I had somebody ask what the floating stick in the water moving was. So,
Oh, that's cool.
yes.
Now, one thing I don't know, I believe someone hooked a sturgeon one year, but I don't know if anybody's actually caught a muskie, even though it's
Don't
muskie.
think so.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever caught a muskie along the edge, and if it was most likely foul hook. But yes, I've seen carp. Lots of white bass have been caught over. We've had some freshwater drum. There's been 2 walleye that I know of that have been caught that I'm aware of. Lots of bass that are entered, but that's the cool part about it is not only are you getting these handy, capable kids come out and enjoy a day on the water, and all you pros are in behind them, giving them, you know, all the advice that you could possibly do, and just making sure that what that day is remains something that they circle every year in their calendar. They look so forward to it. But the fact that the river never seems to disappoint, like there's always fish being weighed in, and from start to finish, there's always fish on the scales. It's a unique event. It's a very unique initiative, and you couldn't have picked a better place to have it.
Yeah, for sure. It's honestly, and like this year, the weather was just amazing. It did get a little hot later into the afternoon, but we finished fishing around 12. Sometimes a lot of our anglers choose to finish a bit earlier because, you know, we got the food trucks going, that we got a live band playing, so there's a lot of dancing and singing going on. But yeah, so yeah, the fishing goes for like 2 hours. There's a lot of different fish caught. There's just so much joyfulness and cheer going on. It's just such a fun weekend.
What was your biggest
takeaway? The night before, getting ready for it, and then like you got the actual derby the next day. We've got bars showed up. We had bars there for a little bit, taking photos with people. I think we had like a Batwoman and Superwoman.
Yeah.
I know there was a couple superheroes there this year. So yeah, and then we've got actually a bunch of officers. We have our CMP that come and everything too, helping fish, because we've got so many different fishermen there. So we've got a lot of anglers that come out and help with this event. So it's awesome. Even
what was your biggest, Jade? What was your biggest takeaway from this year's event? What was the one thing?
It's hard to pick one thing, honestly. Like it's just, I don't even know.
Was it your dad was it Mike dressed up at the dinner? You talked about that.
Dad, yes, Dad does dress up for the dinner the night before, and it is very exciting. Yes, he owns more than just a handlebar shirt, believe it or not.
I didn't believe it until I saw the picture. I'm not gonna lie.
Photos.
But the thing, his signature is his shorts and the Crocs, and how he managed to put that together in an ensemble that I swear any red carpet would have been honored to have him walk on. I'm gonna have to get the how-to on how to make that look, you know, the way he did.
And hey, like I'm hearing how Dad dresses, and I'm just like, Mike, like, dude, we're brother from another mother. Like that's how I would dress too, right? So I love it.
100%.
Yeah.
So you guys still have a week of all kinds of collecting of data. What else is in store for this week? Are you still going after? Is it strictly suckers that you're going after? Or is it...
No. So typically, a lot of surveys we do, we look for all species that are there. So the area around Cayuga last week was mostly red horses. Surprisingly, that was probably the most common species, right?
Yeah.
And then Dunnville could be a different story. We might see this time of year, we're probably going to see white bass, white perch, gizzard shad, because we're going to be not right below the dam, but we'll be in that area around Bing Island and stuff like that. So we'll probably see a lot of different species down there being right at the same level as Lake Erie below that dam. So it's kind of fun. You don't know what you're going to get, so we'll just take it one day at a time. Like we've had so many challenges with the new equipment. It's working fine, but with new equipment, and right now, actually, Scotty, we're at summertime base flows already. Like this is like August flows. It's crazy, dude. And
Talk
so
about being on the same wavelength.
The conductivity, like so with electrofishing, we put electricity in the water to stun the fish.
Yeah.
But what's happening right now is when the water's so low, the conductivity is really high because of the dissolved solids. That's how it goes. And so it's actually hard to electroshock fish when the conductivity is so high. And it's a little challenging right now. I won't lie to you. Like I actually tripped the breaker a few times last week on the generator. Nothing bad. This is how they're made. But I can't I literally, what's that line from Star Trek? Like I'm not a Star Trek guy, but Scotty, like I need more power and I can't get any more power because the conductivity is so high. But I made the joke all the time last week. It's electrofishing, not electro catching. And we catch what we can. But yeah, we're going to do some surveys this week. But this week, Scotty, is a lot about teaching Jade and the other students how to fill out the forms properly and how we collect data. We have a big project starting up, doing some coastal wetland work around Lake St. Clair in a few weeks, probably about 3 weeks' time, maybe 2 weeks. And I'm hoping that Jade can be a big part of that crew. Yeah, you're going to be great. And, sometimes, Scotty, when you young people are nervous of opportunity, but I've told Jade to embrace the opportunity and go with it and make a mark for yourself. Right. So, and then she's got a really cool project. We have a really cool project this year doing, Scotty, I'll tell you, fyke netting in wetlands. So using hoop nets. And so very different than electrofishing, but it'll still be pretty cool. So we got that on the works this year. We have projects, dude, seine nets, fyke nets, electrofishing. Oh my God, we have projects all over Ontario all summer. So Jade won't get to work on them all, but I'm happy that she gets to work on a few and build that resume, and maybe she'll want to come back next year. That's one great thing about these student jobs is once you get in, there's opportunities to come back if you want to. So that's great.
I had a different name back in the day for fyke nets, and I can't share it here. But if you've ever seined a pond or a river or whatever, you'll understand seining is difficult. And I thought Scotty, it's so much easier with a fyke net to do what you're trying to do. Yeah, well, let's just say it starts with F. That was easy, is how it would come out. But yeah, fyke nets are so much easier when it comes to wetlands and swampy areas when it comes to doing.
Well, and I'll go to Alicia's comment here about learn all you can. So Jade's been traveling with me in the truck, going back and forth, and all we talk about is pretty much fishing in the fishing industry. And then we get in the boat and talk about fish more. So it's like, and now we're on CFN Live at the motel. So we've officially, I'm sure we'll dream about fish tonight. So like, dude, we are just fish. That's all we're doing, man.
The trifecta is in the house. Jade, for all the years that you have been associated and a part, and let's face it, like you said, you were in a jumper, whether you wanted to or not, you were going fishing. You were going to be a part of the fishing community. You've embraced us like we've embraced we've embraced you. And is there any one person that you would like to thank when given the opportunity to do so, like tonight, to sort of point you in the direction that you've been going?
Definitely, well, two people, my mom and my dad. Like, I honestly could not be here right now without those two in supporting me. Like, even just like taking me out fishing from a young age, but like just supporting me with like I went to school for policing before, got my diploma, decided on, you know what, no, I do want to go for to Fleming for Fish and Wildlife, and they were super supportive of it. And like even on the hard rough weeks out there, like they were still, you can do it, just give it like, you know, all you got. And then like Jay said, like this position was not easy to get. I think I applied in December and I didn't hear back till beginning of April, I think, maybe end of April. Like it was a long process, it was not easy. And you know, like, so getting their support, like just I can't thank them enough for how much they've just helped me develop to who I am today, with fishing and without fishing. Just like I'm definitely a spitting image of the two of them put together. That's for sure.
Good job, Mom and Dad. That's all I'm going to say. She's been a pleasure to work with.
And that's parenting 101. That's parenting done right. And a big tip of the hat to Donna and Mike, who have been great supporters of not only you, Jade, but CFN and our entire community. And we can't thank you folks enough for.
Well, and Scotty, you and I have shared notes about our, you know, our younger days, about going to college, and you know, there's these close ties. And even on Friday night when I got home, first thing Heather asked me, because Heather is a Fleming grad as well, and she asked me, she's like, "So, how was the new students? How was Miss Parker?" And I said she was fantastic. She's a go-getter. She works hard, and they all do. And I think that's part of being a student is, you know, sometimes you're not sure what to do when you're in these summer jobs. It's tough when it's your first, especially when it's like your first one. Like that's not your first job, but like it's your first job of this kind, and you're like, wow, there's a lot happening right now. What do I do? And I don't want to get in his way, but I want to be helpful. So I'm not sure what to do right now. So I'm just going to try and do stuff. And I can tell that, Scotty, like I can tell when they're engaged, and they don't always, like, sometimes I'm zigging, they're zagging, but we figure it out. We find that way together, and we've had a good time. And our crew is a real mix of different personalities, but it's worked out really well. Yeah. It really, really has. Yeah. And that's pretty par for the course. And I enjoy working with the students. Like it's, I don't know, it kind of, maybe it keeps me young. I don't know, but you would know from my gray.
Oh, dude, you haven't aged in the last 10 years I've known you. Jade, the spotlight's on you. What's Mom's nickname? Or can we say it? Is it this is a family show?
Tell Scotty what Mom's name is.
Oh, it's Dana. It's Dana. I think
Dana.
Dana. Okay.
Dana. Sorry, Dana.
But you can call her Net Girl or No Shot.
Ooh.
She can't shoot a basket.
Oh,
jeez. She grew up with the nickname No Shot Morning Star. So.
Usually the crap talking is safe for backstage before the show, but now we're going right front stage. So
okay, well, you know what, James, thank you. You took the heat off me for getting Dana's name wrong. Thank you so much for that. Wow, God bless you. You've given so many ways. I can't. Grounded. Dana's saying grounded.
Dana, yeah, she's grounded. She's going to be in the habitat. No more electrofishing. She's in the habitat boat all week now.
Okay. I owe you for that, Jade. I owe you for that. Thank you so much.
That's so funny. Oh, that's so funny.
Well, listen, what else? I think we've talked about everything that you guys are doing.
You know, Scotty, actually, it was a long week last week. We put in about, I don't know, 55 or 60 hours last week in the field. So this past weekend, actually, to be honest, dude, Saturday night, I didn't go fishing with Trevor and Heather. They went fishing. It was great. Mom and son went fishing together. I watched the movie with Stephanie because I got this like Wreck-It Ralph hair going on that I need a haircut really bad. If anyone knows the cartoon Wreck-It Ralph. So Stephanie said, Dad, I want to watch Wreck-It Ralph. So we just had some popcorn and chilled out. And then Sunday morning I woke up. I actually packed for this trip. And then Heather and Trevor and Stephanie and I went to Bacchus Mill with some friends carp fishing. We went there. So that was kind of that was our Sunday afternoon. And then I got home, went to bed, and came back to work again. So that's field work, man. Field work it's tiring, but I do enjoy it. So,
and then you know what? I can't thank you folks enough for joining us tonight, because I do. I know how tiring it is, and I'm sure all you want to do is just grab something to eat and go to bed. But there is a brain tease. George won't leave without this brain tease. What's the conversion factor from DFO hours to real time?
Well, George, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people at DFO don't want to. There's a reason why they don't do field work with me anymore. And it's because I work too many long days and too many hours. I'm not going to lie. We probably average 12 hours a day or close to that.
Yeah.
So, and that's 5 days a week. So that's 60 hours. That's pretty typical for from April till about October. That's pretty typical for me. So but I love it. I love it, Scotty. I truly do.
We love you for doing it, and keep up the great work. Jade, thanks so much for being here tonight, as well as the next mentor for the next gen of female anglers that are out there that are interested to perhaps follow your path, your footsteps. And they now have someone that they can reach out to, ask questions, and, hey, I want to be like Jade Parker.
Hey, like I said to Jade, I can't guarantee she had to. I want everyone to know on this call, I did not help her get this job. We talked about it, but the screening process is very hard in this position. I have no say in it. And I even said this to you, Jade. I even said, if you get through, then you and I are going to have a great time and we're going to talk and hang out, but I can't help you get through. So kudos to Jade for getting through that, because it was a lot of work.
It was.
And as soon as I saw her on the final list, I'm like, you make sure she's on this, like, for our lab. Like there's like 25 students, our whole broad lab hires, and our little group hires 8. So I'd really like Jade, if she wants to. Of course, I don't want to make her, but I'd like Jade to work with us. And that's where she ended up. So it's been good.
Listen, to the both of you, get some sleep, get some something to eat. Love you both. And you take care. Have a great and safe week.
See you, Scotty. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
All the best, guys and gals. Awesome. What another great show. Some great stories, some great initiatives. Again, I have to share this because I absolutely love it. Jesse Hyben, thanks so much for sending this in. This is Samantha in Brooklyn. They're the bookends on the outside of Ava, who's in the middle, sporting the CFN jersey. They're out in search of whatever's biting. They're going to get a host of species, as they always do. They are adorable. We love their entries. We love the fact that they fish the fish off, and they're a part of our CFN community. Just like Jim, just like Lawrence, just like Jade, and of course, the entire Handlebars family. For all you folks that stuck around, stuck with us, and offered up some great comments, this has been a great show, and it's all because of folks just like you. On that note, we have Tourney Tuesday coming up tomorrow. Of course, it's Trout Tuesday and Walleye Wednesday. If you want a picture to be featured on our Facebook page, please send it in message. Go to our Facebook page and click message. It'll go to our inbox, and our editing team, which is Walter, Steve, and sometimes myself, we'll make sure we feature it and give it the kind of props that it deserves. But the one thing I will say, kids' picks are our favorite. So send as many and as often as you possibly can. In the meantime, happy fishing. Good luck to all you CFN fish offers who are out currently right now wetting a line or are looking forward to wetting a line. And, of course, our special guests, as always, we can't thank Jay, Jim, and Lawrence enough. Dave, it's on you, baby. Take us away.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.